Hi there, my name is Ashley. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today I'm going to be doing the It's Finally Fall book tag. I first saw Amanda from Book Lover Amanda do this video, so I will link that down below if you want to see the way that she answered these questions. And without further ado, let's begin. Alright, the first one says, in the fall the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. For this, I chose The Underground Library by Jennifer Ryan. I read this in September and I got it from the library, so I'll put a picture of it up here on the screen because I don't have it anymore. But this book was set in London during World War II, and there's very vivid descriptions of London in the fall time. So you get kind of the beauty side of it, but then it also gets kind of intense with vivid descriptions of war. There's bomber planes flying over London and bombs actually happening. And so it's a very vivid description. But I'll read the brief summary that Goodreads has of this. I've read the whole summary. It's kind of long in previous videos. So, when the Blitz imperils the heart of a London neighborhood, three young women must use their fighting spirit to save the community's beloved library in this heartwarming novel from the author of The Chilbury Ladies Choir. So I had never read anything by Jennifer Ryan before, but I was pleasantly surprised. You never know what you're going to get when you pick up a secular fiction book, but I found this very good. There was 3 swear words, I believe, and they weren't just used like willy-nilly. There's a war going on, and so they weren't offensive to me in the way that they were used, but I just want to throw that out there in case any of you care about that. So the book does follow 3 different women who are all facing different challenges from the war, but essentially what happens is the library gets bombed in this London neighborhood, and so one of the 3 girls that you follow opens up a library underground in these tunnels that people have started going down into at nighttime when there's bombings and things. So she starts the library up down there, and it brings a bunch of people together in a very hard time. People are just talking to each other about books and relating to each other about them, and I just think overall it's a really good story and a great one to read during this time of year. All right, the next one says, nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. For this, I chose A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. I read this earlier in the year and it rocked my world. It's Christian historical fiction, and there's a little bit of romance in it. This is set 70 years after Jesus' death during the Jewish-Roman War, so it's a very dangerous, violent time. The main character, Hadassah, goes from being very timid in her faith at the beginning of this book to being fully confident in Jesus and in who she is, and that happens from going through a lot of suffering. She loses her entire family at the beginning of this book. She loses her belongings, and she's bought by a wealthy Roman family, and so her job is to serve them, and they care nothing for her God. And so Francine does a great job of showing and telling how Hadassah serves God and serves these people at the same time, and how Hadassah impacts this family that she's living with. There is lots of loss and just sadness in this book, but there's also a lot of hope in life. So I highly recommend that one. The next one says, fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. And the first book that came to mind for me was Finding Peace by Charles Stanley. Charles Stanley was a pastor of a First Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. His sermons were on TV. They probably still are, but I like to listen to them on the podcast app on my phone. I'll just read the back of the book. It says, chronic anxiety taints every corner of 21st century life. Terrorist threats, a shaky economy, growing unemployment, and individual crises all create fertile ground for obsessive worrying and fear of the future. But you don't have to suffer anxiety's relentless grasp. You can be free from fear. In this book, best-selling author Dr. Charles Stanley shows the way to life-changing peace of mind. You can gain real peace, Dr. Stanley confirms, but only from one source, God. Your tranquility can be more than just a wish. It can become a habit. Finding peace offers you the tools for resolving past failures and regrets, for facing present concerns, and for soothing apprehensions about the future. And I tabbed a piece in here that really spoke to me. I'll read that for you. It says, "A God bigger than our challenges. Long ago, I came to the total assurance that God loves me. God knows where I am every second of every day, and God is bigger than any problem life circumstances can throw at me. I have complete confidence that God is able to take care of any situation and provide an answer to any question or problem. He has all the resources of the universe to draw upon in helping each one of us through any type of crisis if we will trust Him. Based upon many challenging events in my life, I know with deep certainty that God is always in control. He will never leave me, turn His back on me, reject me, or withdraw His love from me. He delights in showing me again and again that He is the source of my strength, my provision, my protection, and my ultimate success in life. I have absolutely no doubt that God is in control of every second of my future. Let me ask you today, who's in control of your life?" So, that's just a little snippet from here. When I read this, I took notes in a notebook because there was too much for me to tab. So yeah, he shares multiple stories from his life where God came through for him and really worked miracles. And I just felt at peace overall when I was reading this book. But ironically, one of the things that he talks about is how peace is with us always. And so it doesn't matter what our circumstances are. If we believe in Christ and He's in our hearts, then it's with us always, and we just need to be aware of that and ask Him to help us feel that. So yeah, I just found this incredibly encouraging, and I highly recommend it. All right, next up is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional family, household, friend group that you'd like to be part of. For this, I chose the Baxter family, and Karen Kingsbury is the one who writes about them. This is not the first book in the series. The first one is called Redemption, and so I highly recommend starting there. This is just the book that I grabbed, but it is the Baxter family, and they are a family of believers. There's mom and a dad and then 5 kids, and the kids are all grown. I'm pretty sure when the series starts, all of the kids are grown, but each book kind of focuses on a different character. You hear about all of the kids in every single book, but there's kind of heavier influence on each kid during each book. And it just goes through their struggles, how some of them wander and come back to faith. And I just like their family unit altogether. They inspire me. If I ever am blessed with a family, I would like mine to look like the Baxters. That's not to say that they don't go through struggles, because let me tell you, there's some deep struggles that they go through in these books, but they always come back together, and they always cling to their faith. And if one of them is wandering, the others will go reach out to them and bring them back in. And so they spend like Sundays together, have big meals as a family all around a big table, play football in the backyard, just things that I really like. So anyway, I've talked about this series before, and I truly do recommend. So the next one says, the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. So I'll basically just show you my October, well, there's some September TBR books here also, but I think all of these are really nice fall spines. I don't know if I'm in the frame at all, but okay. This blue one, the Wings of Poppy Pendleton, the spine maybe doesn't look like it, but the front definitely does. I don't know if I should tell you about them. I'll just read them. I have Assaulted Caramel, The Wings of Poppy Pendleton, Juniper Bean Resorts to Murder, Just Don't Fall, which I just started reading, Autumn by the Sea, and The Lost Boys of Barlow Theater. highly recommend The Lost Boys and Assaulted Caramel. I'm just starting Just Don't Fall, and I cannot wait to read the other ones, but I thought those were all pretty good fall spines. All right, the next one says, fall is the perfect time for storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein someone is telling a story. For this, I chose Christmas at Carnton by Tamara Alexander. I read this at the beginning of last year, so it's been a while, but I remember this being a very cozy, perfect book to read by the fireplace. I'll read the back of it. It says, recently widowed, Aleda Prescott struggles to hold life together for herself and her 6-year-old son. With the bank threatening to evict them, she discovers an advertisement for the Women's Relief Society auction and applies for a position, only to discover it's been filled. Then a chance meeting with a wounded soldier offers another opportunity in friendship. But can Aleda trust this man? Captain Jack Winston, a revered Confederate sharpshooter, suffered a head wound at the Battle of Chickamauga. When doctors discover their diagnosis, Jake fears losing not only his greatest skill but his very identity. As he heals, Jake is ordered to assist with a local Women's Relief Society auction. He respectfully objects, kowtowing. I don't know what that word is. To a bunch of crinolines. I don't know how to pronounce these words. I don't remember this book being full of words like that, but you can always Google them if you don't know what they mean. That's what I usually do. Crinolines isn't his idea of soldiering, but orders are orders, and he soon discovers this group of ladies, one in particular, is far more than he bargained for. Set against the backdrop and history of the Carnton Plantation in Franklin, Tennessee, Christmas at Carnton is a story of hope renewed and faith restored at Christmas. So, yeah, I highly recommend this with the upcoming Christmas season. If you're looking for something historical, this is a really good one. Perfect to read by the fireplace. The next prompt says, the nights are getting darker, share a dark, creepy read. For this, I chose The Lost Boys of Barlow Theater by Jamie Jo Wright. I just finished reading this book yesterday, and I gave it 5 stars. I read The Vanishing at Castle Moreau last year, and I just felt kind of about it. It actually kind of was scary to me, and so it was not my favorite, but this one I really didn't have any trouble with. There are some spooky moments, but you just kind of know that you don't need to be scared. And I won't go into that anymore because I don't want to spoil anything. This book is dual timeline, and in the 1915 timeline, you follow Greta Mercy, and she's taking care of her 3 younger brothers. The one brother ends up disappearing. They think he was in the theater with a couple of his buddies when this happened. And so this follows Greta trying to find him and figure out what's going on there. And then in the present day timeline, we follow Kit Boyd, and her best friend ends up disappearing in the theater. And so you follow both of their stories and try and figure out what exactly is going on. Is this something paranormal? Is this somebody playing tricks on them? You know, what is it? And Jamie Jo Wright does an excellent job of writing about this from a faith-based approach. I've never read anything like this. I didn't know that these type of books existed until last year when I found her for the first time. I think it's really fun to be able to read something like this during this time of year and not have to feel like I'm compromising my values or my faith in any way. So maybe some of you would feel that way if you read this. So I'm not going to say that everybody would be okay with it because I don't know that. But me personally, I feel okay with it, and I recommend giving it a try if you think it sounds like something you might enjoy. Next it says, the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that can warm somebody's cold and rainy day. For this, I chose Beyond Ivy Walls by Rachel Fordham. This is Christian, historical fiction, romance, and mystery. I'll read the back of it. It says, Iowa, 1903. All of Monticello believes Otis Taylor has been away fostering his musical genius, but the truth is that his father exiled him long ago, rejecting Otis's appearance and the scars that came with it. Now that he is the last living Taylor, Otis has covertly returned to settle his family's affairs and rid himself of his past for good. However, he soon discovers that he may not have been the only discarded Taylor and begins a tireless search for his missing niece. At 23 years old, Sadie West left her family farm and found employment at the Hogue Feather Duster Factory. It isn't a romantic job, but she's hardly had a glimmer of romance since her beau went off to college, leaving her with no promise of a future together. Desperate to save money and help her family make ends meet, she trespasses and finds shelter in an abandoned building and is thrown in the path of the town's mysterious bachelor. Otis's wounds are deep, but as Sadie's friendship with him grows, she begins to fall for the man beneath the mask. The mystery of this long-lost niece, however, is more complex than either could have imagined, and Sadie may be the key to Otis Taylor finding his way home. I think Rachel Fordham hit it out of the park again with this book. I don't know how she comes up with the banter that she does with these characters, but it's great. And I just think it's a heartwarming story. The ending is heartwarming anyway. There's really good mystery in here and a little bit of romance, so yeah, that's what I chose for this one. And then we've got Fall Returns Every Year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. For this, I chose Mistletoe Countess by Pepper Basham. This is Christian historical fiction with romance and mystery. It really doesn't take place at Christmas time until the very end of the book, so you could read it now, but it is a good one to read at Christmas time. This is the first book in the Frederick and Grace mystery series, and so if you've been wanting to get into that series, this would be a great time to start it. The back here says, an unanticipated marriage unites an unlikely pair to unravel a ghostly Christmas mystery. Mistletoe is beautiful and dangerous, much like the woman from Frederick Percy's past. I'm having trouble talking today. So when he turns over a new leaf and arranges to marry for his estate instead of his heart, he never expects the wrong bride to be the right choice. Gracelyn Ferguson never planned to take her elder sister's place as a Christmas bride, but when she's thrust into the role, she will trust in her faithful novels and overactive imagination to help her not only win Frederick's heart, but also to solve the murder mystery at Havensbrook Hall before her fairy tale future is ruined. Will the magic of Christmas bring the newlyweds closer together, or will the ghosts of the past lead them into a destructive discovery from which not even a Dickens-style Christmas can save them? This book is honestly one of my top Christian fiction books of all time, which is, I think, probably kind of surprising for a Christmas book, but the banter between Freddie and Grace is unmatched. It's unmatched. It's so good. So I read this 2 Christmases ago, and I still think about it often. I would really like to reread it this Christmas. I have lots of new ones I want to read, but I highly recommend this book. All right, the final one says, fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. This one's pretty easy for me. The number one cozy reading accessory is a blanket. I have a blanket on right now, and I'm not even reading. I just like blankets, so that would be my number one. It depends on if I'm laying down or sitting up, but a pillow would be another one, and then something to snack on or drink, so like popcorn or coffee or hot chocolate, sometimes just water. But yeah, those would be my go-to accessories. Okay, that wraps this tag up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm not going to tag anybody else, but I just want to throw it out there that if you think this looks like a fun one to do, then go ahead and do it. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe. I recently just hit 100 subscribers, which was mind-blowing to me. And I just want to thank you guys for being with me here at the beginning of this journey. I know not everything is super well produced, the quality, the sound, but I'm so thankful that there are some of you that are enjoying what I'm putting out there, and I just hope that my channel is encouraging to you in some way, that you've benefited from it. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great week. See you next time.